Well, here's a little bit about myself. Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I've had a very, very weird life. Let's put it like that. When I was a kid, I had a privileged life in a way. My mum, she met a fantastic man who still to this very day treats me like a son. It's like a stepfather. Even though he's not actually with my mother, he's like my father. I went to boarding school, which I was kind of happy about when I first went, but then I wasn't very happy at all, because it was like Harry Potter's castle, but the difference was you weren't watching it on TV, you was experiencing it. It was cold. We used to have showers and we used to have to strip naked, and you had two nurses who basically used to have to turn round, and in the winter it was bloody cold. And then if you got caught talking in the dorms, there was a headmaster, and his name was S.A. He used to literally come in and he'd grab you by your hair, he'd rip you out of the bed by your hair, and he'd smack your arse, you know. And for some stupid reason, I'd get that about 4 times a week, because I kept on talking, and God knows why, because it wasn't just me. You'd hear slapping, you'd hear someone get smacked down there one night, someone get smacked here, and we all used to talk at night, but we did it. I don't know why we did it, because it was the most painful thing you could ever experience. After that, I then lived with my grandma and granddad, and unfortunately kind of got in with the wrong crowd. To be honest with you, the only ones who used to show me any kindness was the travellers down the site. So I brought up with the travellers, and basically the Gormans especially, Rhoda and Sam, and the Taylors, of course. You know, I mean, John Taylor, JT, big JT. He was like my surrogate father. You know, he was very, very, very. You know, I almost lived around there, lived with them. You know, my grandma and granddad did the best they could, and I think JT realised that, you know, he felt sorry for me, I suppose, because I lived with my grandma and granddad. Ended up in Borstal, and some not very nice things happening there, and you know. But it all made me into the person I am today, and sometimes horrific things what happen to kids make you who you are, I suppose. Yeah, I had quite a nasty experience with something, and it made me a bit of a nutter after that. But I've kind of thought, you know, it's made me what I am. But then after that, yeah, I was just a typical normal kid, really, who was a lunatic. You know, I used to hang around with a very dodgy crowd, and you know, we'd kind of run over police cars. You know, while the coppers are in the car, they'd be sitting there, and we'd think it was funny to like just run up the bonnet, and run over the roof, and run down the back of it. Oh, okay, come here! I'm coming! Hey, Topliff! You know, yeah, you know, oh, brilliant. But, you know, yeah, so I got in a lot of trouble as a kid. Then I was on the run for when I was younger, for quite a few years, and ended up homeless. Thought this stupid idea that London is paved with gold. So I thought, you know, I'd go to London. So that's what I did. And I ended up on the streets, sleeping on the streets for about 2 years, about a year and a half, 2 years, slept on the streets. But it wasn't it wasn't even that hard, actually. I drifted it. You know, I ended up being a right scallywag, and, you know, making money in every kind of way you can think of. I had to survive, didn't I? So, yeah, I did naughty things, and, you know, shoplifting and this and that and blah, 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 and all the rest of it. I remember going to King's Cross Station, and what I used to do is I used to just pick a place. I always used to end up at King's Cross. You know, I'd always end up there and then pick another place, and then something would go wrong there, and I'd come back to King's Cross, come back. It was like I'd always come back to London. You know, I'd always go, that was like my safe place. So London was my safe place, Soho. And I used to know some very dodgy people in Soho. The Russians and the Albanians and the Maltese, Jesus Christ, all sorts of characters. Yeah, very, very dangerous characters. In the end, I started bulking out, and you know, I was very fit, and I was a tough guy. I was a slap you in the mouth before any questions. You know, like I wouldn't give you the chance to hit me. I'd hit you first, and that was the kind of person I was. Unfortunately, you know, you learn things as you get older. You become the person you are as you get older. You wise up a bit, but at the time, you know, I was working with the prostitutes as a doorman. You know, as a security, and used to have things called models, and they were the prostitutes who you'd have like red lights. Before I was security, I used to be a tout, and then when I was a tout, you used to get £10 a person. Every punter used to bring up. So you used to walk round Soho going, all right lads, you know, you're looking for girls. What are you looking for, mate? Yeah, you're looking for girls. You're looking for a strip club. You're looking for. If you took her to a strip club, you get the door money basically. So if it's £20 to go in, you'd get the £20. But I mean that's a different story altogether. It's nothing to do with bare knuckle or anything, but it is a part of my life which I remember, and even to this day I remember walking through Soho recently, and the same faces are there. Unbelievable. That's how it was for many, many years, until I started seeing my dad again, and that's how I got in Maidstone. That's how I got back in with the Travellers again, with Nev Penfold as well. And you know, back then it was the 90s, so everyone was raving. Nev used to run something called Swan Lake, and my dad used to be a doorman at World Dance. Head doorman at World Dance. So I used to go to all the clubs, and then I became a doorman myself at Fat Sam's, and then this is how I met Nev. How I got into bare knuckle boxing, because I met Neville Penfold by being one of his doormen at this Swan Lake. It was basically like the high class ravers used to go there, or the DJs, and I don't know how we used to do it, but me and this guy called Geordie, it was only the two of us, and we'd do the door, and we'd literally start on the Friday night and we'd go home on the Sunday. You know, it's a bit like the layer cake. You know, you got the wannabe, you know, like Amit kind of guys. On the Saturday, you got like the guys, you know, the one, you know, the names and the famous people. And then on the Sunday, that was the day where all the DJs around London and Kent and whatnot, all these really big names like Topliff and LSD and all these big names, you know, Rat Pack, Groove Rider, all of these people, they all used to, on a Sunday, want to go raving themselves. They'd had enough. They'd entertained everybody on the Friday and Saturday. Well, now they wanted to rave. So they used to go to this Swan Lake, and me and Geordie would just take it in turns, sleeping in his bloody smelly car because his feet stank. Yeah, we'd take it in turns because there was never any trouble there. No one would dare cause trouble there. And one day, like I said earlier, you know, Nev said to me, "There's a man who wants to fight you," and I thought, you know, what have I done? You know, what do you mean there's a man who wants to fight me? You know, what have I done? Something to upset him, like, you know? No, what she wants to do, you know, do you want to earn some money, like, you know? Go on, I'll have a bit of this, like, you know. So I jumped straight into it, and knocked this man out anyway. First punch, just bang, smacked him one right on his jib, knocked him out. Nev said, like, you know, in future, just lay back a bit, you know, don't just go steaming him, you know, make, you know, so we can get some money out of it. Fair enough. Anyway, I got my payday out of that, but eventually it got to the stage where I got sick and tired of it. Not through Neville. I'd left Nev by this stage, and I was doing it for anybody who paid me. And before you knew it, there was a Polish guy, and he got his nose very, very badly broken. I didn't even know. I really didn't even know you could get blood spurt like it was coming out of his nose. It was like an artery had been broken, and it was spurting out of his nose. He was knocked out. He was gargling, and they literally picked him up and they threw him in the verge and got in the cars and drove off. And I thought, nah, I ain't having that. You know what I mean? You know, I ain't having that. I said, nah, that's it. I've got to do something about this. And I said to my mate at the time, I said, right, pick him up, get him in the car. Got him in the car, claret everywhere, you know, blood everywhere. But anyway, we got him to hospital, and then after that, at the time, we were a dodgy little bunch, and we were into making money any way we could, you know, weren't always, you know, on the best side of the law. But we also used to arrange raves, and at the time, we all had pagers. And what you used to do, you used to send a pager alert out, and they would send the pager alert out to somebody else, and they'd send their pager alert out. Before you knew it, this page alert goes out all across Kent. And that's how the raves, back in the day, that's how the raves used to, you know, because you could never advertise where the rave was going to be, because if you did, you know, Margaret Thatcher's boys would be after you. So basically, we used to send them out on the pages. We used to think we were dead, you know, in the tech, you know what I mean? And basically, one day I thought, you know what, we could do a bare knuckle. So I thought, yeah, let's do it. And that's how field race started. And that was 22 years ago now. 22 years ago, that's when British bare knuckle boxing came back onto the scene, and for the first time since 1864, which I'm quite proud of, because nobody else can say that. Nobody can say that. I'm the only person in Britain who can say I started bare knuckle boxing off, public bare knuckle boxing. Now, luckily we had the Travellers, and the Travellers, they're the ones who kept bare knuckle boxing alive. Without the Travellers, it would have been lost forever. I mean, they did it for fair play, and they were very good at it, you know, but they kept it very private. They didn't really want anybody, you know, to go and watch Travellers fighting. You had to be in the know. You had to be one of the crowd. You couldn't just turn up, you know. And the reason why, you know, I wanted to make it legal, and actually get some rules behind it and make it official. People won't take you serious until you are actually doing something with rules. Eventually, the rules got, you know, bigger and bigger, and you know, and we spoke about it. It wasn't just me, you know. I had a fantastic group, and on the group, you know, we'd have chats and we'd all talk about it, and you know, we came up with some good ideas. And then it was actually because of the lady I was going out with, Claire Monaghan, her father, Paddy Monaghan, who was champion, bare knuckle champion, and he used to fight. You know, he was very well known in his area, Oxford and so on. But anyway, he's got a friend called Samuel Kwok. Now, Samuel Kwok, he basically trained with Bruce Lee. He trained under Ip Man. And Sam, he's a good friend of mine. And I phoned up Samuel, and I had a good long conversation with him, and said to him, you know, I want bare knuckle boxing to be recognised as a proper sport, and I want it also as a martial art. a British martial art. I was expecting him to kind of, say, no, you can't do that, but totally the opposite. He was like, yeah, the British should be proud of something, because that is, whenever I think of, Samuel's Chinese from China, and he said whenever the Chinese talk about bare knuckle boxing, they always think about the Brits, and I think most of the world does, to be fair. He managed to arrange it with Paddy Monahan and Claire and Tyrone, Paddy's son. It is now officially in the Worldwide Martial Arts Association a British heritage martial art. So I'm very proud of that, because it's never been the case that that's happened. I've done some other things where I can say, we did the first cross-Atlantic belt, we did the first UK title belt, we did, the first public BKB matches. But to actually say we've got a martial art, brilliant, couldn't ask for more. But,